Good morning. Today is April 17th, 2020. We have made it through another week of distance learning. We're finishing up our third week, so awesome job finishing your third week of virtual learning and showing your best effort. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So go ahead and prepare your resources per usual. You are going to need something to write with, something to write on, and your copy of A Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this story today and do just a short review on Monday, and then we will be starting a new text next week. And so, awesome job with this book. Let's go ahead and finish it with a bang. Take about 1 minute to gather your resources for today. Okay. So, the objective today is students will be able to analyze central themes from A Midsummer Night's Dream and explain the impact that each theme has on the story using examples and textual evidence. Um, and so now that we've finished reading the entire play, I want to look at, like I said, the central themes that are going on in the story and what we have learned from reading this play together. So, just a quick review. Go ahead and write in your notes what is theme. We've gone over it plenty of times, and so you should have a pretty good idea of what theme is. Go ahead and just jot down some things in your notes as far as what you know about theme and what you know it to be, and take about 30 seconds to do that. And so we know that theme is a central idea in a text that usually teaches us a lesson. So we know that when we get to the end of our plot diagram, the end of our fictional story, we have what's called the resolution, which is like how does the problem get resolved and what is the theme or the lesson that we learn from that problem being resolved. And so go ahead and write this in your notes that a theme is a central idea in a text that usually teaches us a lesson. And so, what I want to do is a quick stop and jot. What are some themes from A Midsummer Night's Dream? And so, there are plenty of themes in A Midsummer Night's Dream. So, there's not necessarily a wrong answer to this. There can be dominant themes, and there can also be like subtle underlying themes. And so, take a moment and let's do a stop and jot. Just what are some themes that you noticed in A Midsummer Night's Dream? What are those things that kept coming up that were eventually taught us a lesson? I will give you 1 minute to jot down as many as you can. All right, so here are some themes that you could have jotted down. And if you have any other ones that you came up with, feel free to send me a message with those or put them underneath this video. I would love to see what other themes you came up with on your own as well. But just a few to name would be love, would be reality versus dreams, which we talked about yesterday. Dreams and imagination, also brought up yesterday. Patriarchy, also brought up yesterday. The idea of order versus disorder, which we mentioned, we saw a lot of order in Athens, but a lot of disorder in the fairy world. This idea of marriage was brought up continuously amount of times. And then virtue and morals was something that was also always put to the test in this story. And so those are some central themes that we could have come across in A Midsummer Night's Dream, but there are plenty more. And so, again, if you came up with some other ones on your own, feel free to send those to me. I would love to see how you pushed your thinking today as far as coming up with those themes. And so, I want to just focus on three central themes today for A Midsummer Night's Dream. And those are going to be the themes love, dreams and imagination, and then patriarchy. And so let's first go ahead and talk about love. I do want you writing down these because it's going to help you with the assignment that you have for today. And so, starting off with love, I want you to take a moment and think to yourself, why was love a central theme in A Midsummer Night's Dream? What made love one of the central themes? Take about 30 seconds to just think about that, jot something down on your paper. And so the reason that love is a dominant theme in the story is because we see the characters in the story constantly falling in and out of love, as well as questioning the meaning of love itself. If you think about it, the story kind of takes us through the whole process of love and how the different characters perceive it. And it's something that is not necessarily defined by the end of the story. And so we have, for example, people like Lysander who's saying that love never ran smooth. And then we have people like Helena that says love is winged Cupid painted blind. A lot of you mentioned Demetrius, who is someone who perceives love as being something that changes rapidly. We have characters like Oberon, who sees love as just another source of manipulation and another way to get what he wants. And then we have I had someone put a really good one that we have people like Theseus who sees love as sort of a prize to be won, just as he won Hippolyta's love. And so this is a dominant theme because we continuously see the transformation of love throughout the story through the eyes and experiences of the other characters. Take a moment to write this down. Okay, and so our next theme is dreams and imagination. And so go ahead and write in your notes. Take 30 seconds to write why do you think this is one of our central themes in A Midsummer Night's Dream? Explain the role of dreams and imagination in the story. And I want you to think about what we talked about yesterday as far as the fairy world and the purpose that it serves in this story. And so, what we know about dreams and imagination as far as a theme is that characters in the story often explain their unusual experiences by saying that it was a dream or that they imagined it. There's this blurred line between reality and dreams that is never quite defined. And so, when you think about that, think about the fact that at the end of the story, Demetrius is still unsure if he is awake or not. So, sort of this blurred line as to did this actually happen or was it just a part of my imagination? All the way to the very end when we have Puck who closes out the play with a soliloquy or a monologue in which he says that if we did not enjoy the play, that we should also see it as a dream. And so through the story, we kind of have this sort of power to decide which experiences are we going to say were definite and which were true, and which ones are we going to choose to sort of just dismiss as figments of our imagination. Write this down, please. And finally, we have the theme of patriarchy, which I did explain to you all yesterday. So, patriarchy was one of your vocabulary words yesterday. And as you remember, this is basically having a um, male dominated society. And so, go ahead and write, how does patriarchy play a role in this story? We sort of talked about two examples yesterday. So, let's see if you can recall those in your notes today. Okay, and so what we know about patriarchy is that male dominance is the basis for many resolutions in the story. And so a lot of our problems get solved by a man making the final decision. For example, at the beginning of the play, when we have Hermia having the conflict with her father, Theseus is the man who comes in and sort of makes the final say and gives Hermia the ultimatum. Um, Theseus is also the one who then goes back on his word and gives Hermia, Lysander, Demetrius, and Helena permission to marry who they want, solving that problem. We also see the conflict with Titania and Oberon, and we know that as long as these two are fighting, the fairy world is basically in shambles. All of the seasons are occurring at once, crops are dying, and things are going very badly. However, once Titania sort of submits to Oberon and goes back to him, everything goes in order again. And he sort of gets the final say in that by having her surrender the changeling boy to him. And so go ahead and take a moment to write down these three central themes and make sure you have them in your notes because it's going to help you with your assignment that's coming up on the next slide. Okay, and so looking at your assignment for today, today you're going to analyze three central themes in A Midsummer Night's Dream. For each theme, you're going to explain one lesson that that theme taught us, and you're going to give us an example and evidence to support that lesson. So I'm going to show you how this looks by giving you an example for the theme love. So your three themes today again are love, dreams and imagination, and patriarchy. I'm going to do the love one with you. However, I do want you to do an additional love one on your own because there's so many lessons that we can learn from it. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like in a moment when I take you to the assignments tab. But for now, it will look something like this. So you're going to have a chart and it'll say theme number one, love. And so you ask yourself, what lesson did we learn about this theme? What lesson did we learn about love from reading this story? And there's plenty of lessons. And so just take a moment and think of some of the lessons that you have learned about love from reading A Midsummer Night's Dream. And if you yourself feel like you didn't learn a lesson, what lessons do you think that Shakespeare wanted us to learn? And so one lesson that we learn about love is that love is transformational. So love has no specific way that it functions. It can change at any moment, and that makes it unpredictable and exciting. And so I know that when we see that love can change at any moment, we sort of get the idea of Demetrius's experience with love, and so we can use Demetrius's experience as an example as well as evidence. So we would say Demetrius loves Helena before the play begins. When the play starts, we learn that he now loves Hermia. However, by the end of the play, Demetrius is under a spell that causes him to love Helena. He does not question this love and ends up marrying her. As Helena has said before, love looks not with the eye but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind. And so this example and evidence ties into the lesson that love can change at any moment. However, again, this is not the only lesson that we learn about love because we have all of these other characters who had different experiences with this central theme. And so you are going to give me another example about love, and then you're going to give me one example about dreams and imagination and one about patriarchy. So you'll go to the general tab, assignments, and you'll go to April 17th assignment in order to access that, which I'll show you how to do in a moment. This is due by 9:30 in the morning on Monday. I'm giving you the weekend to do it. Just know that I will be grading them on Monday and you will have a grade by the end of the day. So you absolutely need to have it turned in. Do not forget your other assignments as well, which I'm going to show you how to access right now. And so we're in the general tab here. We're going to go to assignments. And you have here your April 17th assignment. And it's exactly what I just showed you. Um, I've already done this example here for you, but notice I gave you another space so that you can do your own example of love. And then you have here your space for dreams and imagination and your space for patriarchy. Um, and so this here is, again, exactly what we just did to serve as an example for you as to how this should look. Just a quick reminder that you do need to have this mandatory distance learning activity completed by 2 o'clock today. If you do not have this done by 2 o'clock today, I will be reaching out to you personally because this is a mandatory assignment per the district. Okay, you absolutely have to do it. So as always, I am online. If you have any questions, more than happy to help you with it. This assignment should be fairly doable, but again, please reach out if you do need help. Otherwise, have an awesome day and an amazing weekend, and I will see you all on Monday.